Hi, and welcome to year 3 of the Inspire View series. This is my first interview of the year, and I am so excited and an unexpected journey that I've gone on with this series, actually. It was inspired action taking, and I just went with it, and I'm still going with it. So it's fun. The reason why I even did this series and started it to begin with was to connect with women from all over the world who follow their passions in whatever way. Could be they do it full time, it could be a part-time thing, but the important thing is incorporating that into your life. And by sharing their stories, because I feel that's where true connection comes in, it inspires and motivates other people to do the same thing. I know it does for me, especially if I'm having one of those moments where I'm not feeling too inspired. I think about my guests and what they've done. So for the first interview series, and let me pipe in with that. You can find all of them actually from 2015, 2016, and now this on my website at CherriseBoucher.com. So my very first interview for 2017 is Jessica North O'Connell. And I'll tell you my motivation for having her in a moment. She's actually a past guest of mine from year 1. So this is super exciting to have her back again. We stay in touch throughout the year. Jessica is an author and co-founding priestess of 13th House Mystery School, founder of Faerie Mound Mystery School, and a teacher within the mystery school tradition, offering introductory and intermediate courses in a variety of programs from numerology, aromatherapy, and all available in distance learning. She's a Wisewoman practitioner of aromatherapy and energy medicine and offers soul realignment sessions, life readings, ceremonies, shamanic guidance, creative recovery coaching, and temple dance instruction through her business, Great Goddess Alive, Alchemical Arts and Services. Welcome, Jessica. That sounded like a whole mouthful of stuff. I hope it did. and I'm going to tell you, I know that she's got a lot of other hats that she wears too. That's like a snippet of what she does. But I reached out in my Facebook world for somebody who's familiar with and a practitioner of numerology, because I've been seeing a lot of people posting about 2017 being a 1 year and beginnings and all these things. And I was thinking, from what little I know from the one book that I have about numerology, was that, but I know we have personal years, and I thought that a personal year would be more relevant than the universal year. So before I go, like trying to act like I know what I'm talking about, I said, I've got to find somebody who does know what they're talking about. And Jessica hopped in and said, that's like one of the things I do. So one of the many hats she wears, and she's been doing it for like ever and ever. So what better person to have come on here and share her knowledge with us and shed a little light on the whole numerology thing and what we should really be focusing on that's going to help guide us personally. So how did this even come about for you? Because I know a little bit about your background, from being a restaurateur and all kinds of things that you do. So we won't get into all that here, but how did numerology pop up in here?
Well, numerology has been part of my life literally for my whole life. When I was a very little girl, I lived with my grandparents and my aunt, and I guess it must have been a Ouija board left over from my aunt's teen years or youth. And it just made a perfect little table because, that was the days when you had to put the phone books on the chair so the kid could sit at the dinner table.
Yeah.
So this way, with my little board, which I could carry around, I could sit on the couch or on the floor and I could color and write. But that was all fun and good. But I looked at these. This is how I learned my alphabet and my numbers. And I looked at these shapes on this board. And like we started talking to each other and they started telling me about themselves. And I thought, wow, this is really cool, you know? And of course I had my favorites and numbers that I got on with better than others, and letters too, you know. I would always leave out number 4. I'd count 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It took a few years really to remember to put that 4 in there, even though it was there on the board. We just didn't have a rapport.
That's funny.
Yeah. So essentially that was the very beginning. I didn't know. I mean, you know, I started school at 6 and learned to write, which was kind of cool because then I could take all these magical letters and string them together in different ways and tell stories and write poetry like that. Like that's magic.
Yeah.
Not only do they have their own personalities, but hey,
they could do stuff too. Communicate and be creative.
And you can do stuff with them, you know. Wow. So when I was 12, I discovered that there was this practice called numerology. And I thought, oh, look, it wasn't just, you know, this kid's imagination, right? Adults do this stuff. And that's when I started scouting around and I started reading stuff about numerology, and eventually came across the works of Juno Jordan. And a few others. Like there were people that inspired her as well. But Juno was a dentist who set up a school to see if there was any validity to numerology. She ran the school for 25 years and came away saying, "Oh yeah, this works.
Wow.
You know, I have nothing to prove this really works." So I started incorporating her methods into my practice, which just kind of evolved. I didn't set out to practice numerology as such. It was just one of the tools that I used I was a tarot reader, you know, if I was anything, and a mom.
Right.
Being a mom, a homesteader. You know, so I found that they dovetailed really nicely. Numerology, you could give people that little tidbit, you know, their personal year, and that would add. Very often their whole reading would really reflect their personal year if they were having a general reading, you know, so they had some way to relate the two disciplines to each other.
And that's
so I just want to
very concrete too, right? Like I'm kind of a proof person, and like I like the concrete things, you know, like
it's concrete, and it is. I just have to tell you that like numbers are not what people think they are. Numbers have their own life. They laugh at us when we think, you know, that we have it all figured out with the numbers and we're doing math and we're doing like, they're like, oh yeah. They're really fluid. You know, like we're working with negative numbers. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
How can a number not exist that exists? You know, Schrodinger's number. You know, just as an example. It's only been for, you know, the last century or two that we've been doing that. Like this is a newish concept for us, you know, and now we're doing it a lot more than we used to. Probably because we have bank accounts.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not just trading chickens and stuff right now.
Yeah.
So it's
nobody wants a virtual chicken. So that was my meeting.
So okay, so you know, the whole buzz out there is that 2017 is a 1 year, and that is derived from adding the numbers together and breaking it down to a single number. That much I know.
Yes.
So
got it.
Share, like, what's the difference? What should we be focusing on? How do you calculate your personal year, and how is that better or worse than just going by the universal year?
Oh,
it's a whole mouthful of questions.
Right? Inside, we are individuals inside the system. You know, the system or the universal year is kind of like an energetic bubble that certainly contributes to the overall milieu.
Hmm.
But our personal year is how we relate with that. It's like we're not a different, or we perhaps don't really need to be a different person with every person that we meet. You know, they may activate or pull forward various parts of us, but we're still ourselves.
Mhm.
So it's the same thing when we enter into a relationship with the universal year. We are relating through wherever in our cycle we're at. So some numbers, some personal numbers, and I'll tell you how to calculate that in a minute, are going to have an easier time under, you know, the universal atmosphere than other numbers. And people who, for example, want things, are going through a period where they seek order, structure, and stability, like a 4, the number I kept forgetting, are probably going to feel a little on edge, because it's a time where, you know, anything goes. People are window shopping and exploring and starting and finishing things because, oh, that didn't quite work.
Mhm.
So it's not a really stable year in that sense. The stability of it is in our ability to look at what's new and to, you know, be able to examine things. Some of us are going to be much more in that mode than others. 5s are going to love it, you know, because it's all about change and it's all about impermanence and variety. But yeah, it really is, your personal year is the lens through which you view the universal year. And it is by far the more important of the two,
Gotcha.
hands down. If you're looking for a year to follow. When I'm reading for people and I tell them what their personal year is, I don't usually go into the universal year unless they have, you know, some background in numerology, and then we can look at it from there. So to figure out your personal year, you want to take your month of birth, your day of birth, and the current year. So the current year is a 1. And I'll just use myself. No, I'm not a good person to use. Let's use you.
Okay.
When's your birthday?
10/29/1969.
Oh, you're just under the line. Not after. So, so you're in a 4-year.
Yeah. Your favorite.
It's going to be a little bit rocky. But, you know, you're not out there all the time trying to stabilize the rest of the world. You're dealing on your own stuff. So you're building your dream. You're working on your own foundation. So you'll be fine. Those around you will react in a different way. But the benefit of being in a time of new beginnings is that there are more options available that you perhaps didn't see before. So even being in a 4-year and looking at that, it's like new windows opening. You may or may not want to incorporate the information or the avenue, but at least it's there. In a 4-year, we tend to, you know, have our nose to the grindstone and not really notice what's going on around us because we're working hard, you know, and we have.
I feel like I've been doing that I feel like I did that last year too.
You did, but it's really different. It's a lot closer in this. It's like you're getting rid of the surplus this year. You're getting down to the brass tacks. In a 3-year, it's busy. You know, we may be working, but we're also, the eye is out there all the time because it's about expansion. So we're always bringing in, and that in itself can be overwhelming, depending on your birth number, which is the part of the cycle when you were born, because that's going to underlie everything. And that's a topic for another time. Because we're looking at universal and personal years.
Right. I know it can get very involved.
It's like, you remember those little cups that fit one inside another, or those dolls of cranium dolls that fit inside one another.
Right.
numerology is kind of like that. You know, things fit inside, and we can look. If you don't know what you're looking at, you think, oh, well, look, this person has none, then they have this, and yet that number that they're missing or that they don't have very many of may show up, you know, in spades in another part of the chart. So we can't judge by just the surface. It's the cups fitting one inside of another with this practice. I know I'm jumping the gun here, but if you didn't catch the method, it will be in the handout.
Good. Yeah. So in like the very simplistic, basic terms of numerology for somebody who's like brand new and has just been hearing about this whole, it's a 1 year, it's a 1 year. What kind of would be like the basic things that they should, or a resource? Well, I know you're going to be providing a bit of that too. How can they'll find their own personal year number, and do you have guidance like on how does that go, like month to month, or is it kind of is that like going too deep too? I don't even...
You can do month to month. You can actually do day to day.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to keep it at this high level up here where
but if you want to look at your personal year inside of the universal year, yes, the one is going to give us variety. It's going to give us kind of an oomph. The thing about a 9 year is that it's a low energy time. So, you know, it doesn't matter who you are. There is out there that feeling that like, another thing to do, something else to finish up. You know, and physically, for those of us in a 9 year, our bodies are telling us it's time to slow down. It's really important to pay attention to that. It's like, you can do it for a year, you know, it really is worth it. Sometimes it feels like, you know, all you want to do is like eat popcorn and watch Netflix and like do it because it's not forever, you know. But looking overall at the 1 year, at the universal year, there is going to be this underlying feeling of something new. There's a little bit of an excitement, you know, there's a possibility for something different. The truth is that if we want something different, we have to create it. I'm just going to relate back to the tarot for a minute. I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but, you know, the first 22 cards are called the major arcana, and they have these different archetypes. And the number 1 is the magician. If you add up 2017, the first number that you get is 10. And then that reduces to the 1. So in the tarot, the major arcana, the arcana number 10 is the wheel of fortune. So it is this, you know, many possibilities. The single word that best describes it is change. Not like every single thing you do. Things aren't necessarily falling apart. Sometimes change is like so dramatic and drastic. This is a much slower turning of the wheel. But the bottom line is that if we want to see change, it's up to us to activate our inner magicians and make that change happen. Yeah. So some of us are going to be working away on the foundation. Some of us are going to be dreaming big. Some of us are going to be wrapping up old stuff nonetheless. Some of us are really going to be, you know, the knights on the chargers, charging out into it and taking it by the horns. Whatever your personal year is within that universal year will mirror to you the actions that are most likely that you'll take, most appropriate as well. There's no point in trying to push yourself, like I said, in a 9 personal year, just because it's a 1 year, you know, like window shop.
Right.
Yeah.
And know that it is a slow turning of the wheel.
It's a slow turning. Yeah.
Change is not going to happen like this month necessarily. I mean,
no, we have a whole year
out through the whole year.
Whole year to do this. I do say though that I work with her So from November 1st to October 31st. And what Juno her research of the year, you start to notice the incoming year. And I've, just basically taken it a step farther. So around the beginning of November, you're really in the new year, except for people born in November and December, but that's a different story. They seem to be a year behind.
Oh,
but yeah, it's we can talk about that at some other point, but that's the bulk of the year. So from the late fall through the winter, we're really into it. You notice with your personal year, you'll notice that the season of your birth tends to intensify the themes of your personal year. So leading up to it, you get there and bang, it's just in your face, and then it starts to lessen until you get to the new year. And that's just what I've noticed after
a whole lifetime.
A long time of combining this with tarot practice.
Yeah, it's interesting that they're so closely aligned, like how you said, that they just seem to dovetail into each other, because
really nicely.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm sure a lot of things do that, and unless you're somebody who's really involved in all of that, or you have those aha moments, like I'm sure you did when you discovered that they actually went together.
It was exciting.
But yeah, you're like, oh my God, I can do this and this. And it makes total sense. It just expands on what you get out of it. I think that's really cool. So besides the whole numerology, and you do, is numerology readings something you offer alone, or is it a part of something else?
I do offer reports. I do numerology reports, which is the written aspect of it, or like this, consultations about things I've done, name changes, and those are fun. And and I always incorporate, sometimes just in conversation, I was like, people will be saying, I just don't seem to be getting anywhere. I am overworked. And when's your birthday? And then we'll look at it.
Right.
It just comes up in the course of some other kind of conversation or consultation. I also have a course that I was asked to write for an online school, and which is subsequently closed because I was the only teacher that got any students, which was sad because it was really a wonderful idea at the time. But I have this course as a result that I squirreled away and wrote and put together all of these concepts. And so you can look at house address and your phone number and
oh wow,
all of that stuff, and get a good working understanding. It's not the be all and end all, but for somebody that doesn't really know anything except maybe their own number, or they're curious about it, I think it's a good introduction to the topic. And it's self-paced. I'm there to answer questions, but people work at their own pace. I had one person tell me, I looked at it and I couldn't understand it at all. And she went back to it after having reviewed it. I thought that was very interesting because it's really straightforward. She said, I went back to it's a piece of cake.
Sometimes it's just the day.
It was just the maybe it was her personal year.
Right. That's right. And what is that course called? And is that available on your website?
It is available on the website. It's also, I explain a little bit about it in the handbook or the handout as well.
Okay, very good. And what else? I know you and your many hats.
The many hats.
The many hats. What else do you help people with? Because you've got loads of things.
Well, it's been a long life.
And are they in person? Is what you do in person or online or both?
I do it all. Right now, not so much in person because the area that I live in is not really conducive. I've tried and It's,
way out there.
yeah.
Way, way up and
Yeah.
out
And
there
it's
for
a funny
me.
kind of town as well. And I've been here 17 years and I'm watching it evolve, and it's turning into a tourist destination. I mean, it always kind of had that, but I think there was a lot of resistance. But with the new blood coming in, like, new council members and whatnot, it's turning into, hey, look, it's pretty here, and, there's camping, and there's fishing, and there's tubing, and there's, we're the fly fishing capital of British Columbia here.
Oh.
And that's something.
Yeah.
And a big producer of a festival, music festival, country music festival, just bought property. They bought a ranch here, and so we can have 8 shows a year here. So that's really going to bring people into the area as well.
Oh, nice.
But I don't think they're metaphysicians.
Hey, you never know. Sometimes people keep that on the DL, like they don't want everybody to know.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm not holding my breath. Let's put it that way. But the thing I'm most excited about, Cherrise, I have to tell you, is that in September, I was awarded my certification as a Soul Realignment practitioner. It's a modality I've probably looked for my whole life. I love it. I love being able to work with people. And I do that online. I mean, I have clients all over the world. And, we just Skype. And
Maybe you'll be Zooming now.
Pardon me?
Maybe you'll be Zooming.
Oh, yes, I probably Zoom, yes. Yes, it solves some of the problem of recording, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful practice. It clears blocks and restrictions so that you can get back to, the divine within yourself, your soul and your soul purpose. I hate to make it sound like we all have this like unique purpose, because the purpose is being human. The purpose is experiencing the 3-dimensional realm and having fun with that, that's really trying to get us back to understanding. Then we all have our specialties, of course, the things that we specialize in. And that's what, once you clear all the cobwebs away, that becomes something that becomes a little bit more visible and a little bit more accessible to people. So I love that. That's,
that sounds amazing.
The new one, and I'm still like
yeah.
about it. But I've done tarot for over 45 years now, and I did practice astrology for a while, but with so many other modalities, it's kind of moved into the background in favor of the numerology, which is, I've done forever, and tarot, which I've done for a very long time, and runes as well. Somebody asked me to write a rune book years ago, and I did, and it did pretty well. She never did make the runes to go with it, but I had such a good time with it that my husband recommended lately that I reissue it. So there'll be a little, quick reference rune book one of these days, again, when I finish doing the revamp. The files were quite corrupted, so and how it happens. And you mentioned the mystery school, so I do have programs that I run through the mystery school. Not everything all of the time, because there are prerequisites sometimes, and we do them sequentially rather than try and do everything all at once. And I'm not always running them because I have other programs going on. The latest one, plug, is my Goddess program, which I'm pleased to be able to offer again. We're going to get going February 2nd with that. It's
right around the corner.
It's right around the corner, and I'm so excited about it because I love doing it. It's always different depending on who signs up for the program. So it's always fresh and it's always new. Other things that I do. Sometimes it's hard to just, put a title on it. So I keep with a title, which is the closest I've come to a one size fits all for the things that I do. And so I'm calling myself a creative recovery coach.
I like it.
You know, like coach, people know what that is. Creative recovery might be a little bit more of a question mark, but at least people will ask. And I think that we've gotten so far away from our own creative fountains that we sometimes just need to uncover that and get back to it. This is not anything new for me. This idea to found a retreat came to me when I was 22 years old. I'm 65, no, 21. 22 in there, you know. We had 93 acres of property. I looked around and I said, oh, we have to do something with this.
Yeah.
But nobody was really ready, and I didn't have the background to be able to pull something like that off myself. And I knew that, you know, I'd have to go and get more educated and learn practical stuff as well as expand my own horizons. And now I'm more than ready. I'm so excited about this. But what triggered the creative recovery aspect of it, the term, was last year, a group of us decided to do the Artist's Way. And so we formed a little support group and we all did the Artist's Way together. And coming out of that, which really got me back to what I love to do, which is to write, and a lot of contemplation, a lot of observation. My dad was a painter and he was always, you know, in my bedroom looking out the window at the neighbor. I realized what he was doing is he was just observing life. He was observing structure, he was observing interaction, but he was just observing, you know, the way that tree curved, because he'd then go and paint stuff. You know? So it's gotten me back into that observing mode. And when you start to observe it, you can't help but bring the inner you into play more. So what I am inspired to do is to help people reconnect between the soul realignment, which, you know, strips away all the stuff you don't need, and the real looking within to pull forward your own gifts and to find ways to present that. So Miracles Retreat, we're looking for property.
That sounds fabulous. And that soul realignment, is that like a one session thing, or is that a many session?
It's basically one session. You know, we go into the Akashic record, we find out who you are at soul level, what your gifts are at soul level, and what kind of decisions you made to put you where you are today. You know?
I think I'm sure I'm not the only person that just went right now.
I did it, you know. After my session, I thought, wait a minute, I've always been plagued with anxiety, always. I thought, I've been to therapy, I've done everything in the book, and it just didn't go away. You know, like I thought, well, this is who I am, and this is as good as it gets. And, you know, at some point the other shoe will drop, you know. And I had my session and did my homework, and it was instant. I am still amazed by the fact that my anxiety is gone.
Wow.
If I feel any kind of twinge, I immediately go check the calendar. It's usually a newer full moon that I'm responding to, or there's going to be an earthquake.
Wow, interesting.
You know, the other day I had a little, and I thought, ooh, something unpleasant will happen. And I knocked over my big vase and broke it. But, you know, it was like,
yeah.
It wasn't like, oh my God, the world is ending. This little like, oh, pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I had just moved it over, I wouldn't have knocked it over.
You know, I hate that. And I've learned to pay more attention to that little like precognitive moment that sneaks in sometimes, because whenever I have ignored it, exactly what I thought was going to happen ends up happening.
Yeah.
So whenever I have that thing like, don't put that there because you're going to end up knocking it or something, I'm like, and for a second, I'll be like, it'll be fine. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to move it, because whenever I ignore it, exactly what I thought was going to happen ends up happening. And it's a split second little thing.
Yeah,
so,
it's just that little, you know, pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do now.
Yeah, sometimes it's not what you're going to break, you know, or sometimes it's your ankle. So
Yeah, right.
worth paying attention.
But you got to pay attention to those little nudges, like the little intuitive pricks that come through every now and then, because it's always, and then I'm like, when I don't do it, I'm like, ugh, because now I have this mess to clean up, or because,
Yeah, I wasn't impressed. All that broken glass. Oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah. I know, I've been there. It's worth it to just move something when you get that little nudge to don't do that.
2 feet.
I know. So true. I love what you said earlier, because that really stuck with me, about that our purpose is to be human.
Yeah.
Because I think it does get so harped on a lot in social media and everywhere. You know, you see all these people with programs and find your purpose. Oh, and it makes you feel sometimes like, oh my God, I don't even know what my purpose is. Like I always say, I still don't know what I'm going to do when I grow up. You know, it's like, oh my God, what is my purpose? There must be something bigger. There must be something else that I should be doing. And you do feel a nudge sometimes of something bigger that you should be doing. But I like that the whole purpose is to just be human.
Yeah, you know, that was a hard one for me, because some of us, there are different soul groups that are here. We're not all exactly the same. We're not carbon copies. And some of us really, hell and high water, we're here with a mission.
Right.
I'm one of those, you know, it took a long time. It really, really took, it took up until my session and studying this program to know, no, I'm here. Like, this is the garden. You know, I'm here enjoying the garden. Like, it's not up to me to like save the planet, you know.
Right.
Like, Wonder Woman.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to do good works. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to participate in things, or I'm not going to start projects because I feel people will benefit. It doesn't have anything to do with that. But to know that, like, it's not, you know, written anywhere in blood that you have to do this, right? And this is a choice.
Yeah.
We can choose what we want to be involved in, you know, but the job of being here is to be human. And
I think that makes it more playful.
Oh, we need to be more playful.
Yeah.
We're way too serious here.
Yeah. And people do get serious. I mean, I'm guilty of, you know, falling into these pits sometimes myself. Then I can, you know, with social media, we observe others all the time, because some people share everything. And you see how like devastated some people are, that they're not finding this purpose and everything. They're making such a big thing. And somebody even pointed out, and I had to comment, because they were a little distraught that they could not come up with their word for the year. And I was like, you don't have to have a word for the year.
Yeah.
You know, so don't, because people get caught up in a wave of what everybody else is doing or what everybody else is talking about. And I think this is a refreshing way to take a step back, realize you're in your own personal year. Yeah, there's another group of people that are in that personal year too. You can combine it with what's happening with the universal year, and your purpose is a choice, but what you're mainly here for is to be human.
Yeah, is to enjoy the experience of free will and see what your choices with free will lead to. That's called karma. You know, karma is not a bad thing. It's just the manifestation of the choice that you've made. It's like what follows that choice. And if you don't like the choice, well, then you make another choice, you know.
Right.
I know that makes it sound simplistic, but in some ways it really is that easy.
Right.
You know, we just get so mired in the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
So whatever gets thrown into that pot and stirred into the soup, then, you know, when we drink of it, we become infected with it. But take a step back, you know, drink some clean water.
Yeah.
Or some raspberry mint tea.
Ooh.
And and cleanse, you know, and take a moment. realize, like, is that choice in your best interest? You know, we were talking about intuition, and intuition is different for different people. For me, it's a really strong body sense, but it's like you said, just a flash, and then, you know, I'm on to the next thing. So if I have to like sit and ponder about it, I know that's not intuition and I'm overthinking the situation. And sometimes I don't get a read at all on something, which means that, you know, it's a wide open choice. But I have to be ready to accept the responsibility for whatever choice I make in this situation as well. I mean, and I just want to say about intuition that it's not meant to keep us from pursuing things. It's just we need to do it in a mindful fashion. If we're getting like, you know, like, yeah, move the thing 2 feet over, but keep going. Like,
Right.
Bad.
Right, exactly.
You know,
clean up the mess because you didn't pay attention to it and move on.
Oh, I was so mad. It was like all this broken glass on the floor. Ugh. Anyways, at least I have a vacuum cleaner and, you know, wet cloths and things. Yeah. So it just meant that I spent another 10 minutes that I wasn't intending to spend on something.
Right.
Could have been solved in a second.
I know. It's like the gut feelings. It's like all wrapped up into intuition, you know, that things that you ignore. And for the less woo-woo people, you know, they understand the gut feeling. We all have that. Yes. So when that you get that, and,
you know something, you just have that sense about it. And like I said, you know, we all experience our intuition in different ways. And that's fine. That's as it should be because we're all different expressions.
Right. Oh, of course. We touched on a few different topics here, but you're such a wealth of knowledge for all these things that it's hard not to, because you're a go-to resource for this stuff. And now that you've got your new thing that you're really excited about, that's so cool too. That's so cool.
It doesn't mean I'll stop doing the others, you know.
Yeah. Well, God, you're so
toolbox.
Yeah, you're so versed in all those other things already that there would be no reason not to. So, what you're offering, my guests, is a Navigating with Numerology Using Your Personal Cycle to Plan Your Success ebook, which is the less I don't want to say cumbersome. I don't think that's the word, but from your course, it's the lighter version. It's
a little bit more concise than going through a whole program too. I mean, there is a lot more to numerology, obviously. You know, how does your personal year relate to your birth number, you know? But that doesn't really go into anything like that, because then we're starting to get a little too, well, is this really necessary? I just want to know what year I'm in so I can navigate or when in the cycle I am. So this is just a little help that people can refer back to. And we'll give them a heads up about where they're headed, what the theme of each year is. So, you know, you don't want to be, like I said, starting something new in when you're finishing a cycle. You might want to be contemplating something new, but, you know, try and start a new business when you're at the end of a cycle. It's exhausting and not necessarily productive, you know, and very, it can be very discouraging because it doesn't seem like anything is holding together or working. Whereas if you wait for a year until you're starting a new cycle and you're in your own 1 year, things seem to fall into place a lot more easily. You know, you feel like you're moving forward. I can say, like, I'm in a 1 year now. Last year, oh my gosh. And I know, and 9 is a wonderful number for me. But there were days I just couldn't get out off the couch. And so I, you know, or out of the bed, like, the dog was thrilled. The dog thinks that the bed is the desk now.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just get back into bed and she'd lie there, get the hot water bottle, and I would, you know, work from my bed and do whatever from my bed. And if I needed to take a nap, it was really easy. Just close it.
Yeah, really easy.
20-minute nap and then go back.
Over.
I don't live like that usually. But it was a 9-year and for me, and it was not really the time to start something new. The fact that I have to tell you, because I did my soul realignment training last year, if it could go wrong, my intuition said, this is it. You know, it, like, in no uncertain terms, this is what you've been looking for. I couldn't log into the school. Like, every possible thing that could go wrong went wrong. And I just had to dig my heels in and keep pushing, because I knew I was moving against the current. The current was, no, lie on the beach, you know, watch the waves, soak up the sun and drink a margarita, you know. And here I was trying to learn a whole new modality with new vocabulary, new structuring, somebody else's frame of reference, you know, like, oh my gosh. The work is stuff that I've been, you know, acquainted with since I was 7 years old, but this was a completely different way of it being organized. Mm. So, you know, that was in essence learning something new, starting something new. So yeah, I had every conceivable setback, including getting my certificate delivered. I had the confirmation letter that I never received. So I finally, after, you know, 6 weeks, like sent to the school, I thought, oh, somebody didn't like, you know, one of my clients, practice clients didn't like their reading or something, and now they're holding back. I'm like, no, I never got the email. It was 9 years.
So I think that's important, though, because people shouldn't like hold back from doing something just because the year doesn't coincide with it going smoothly. It just gives you an awareness of what could possibly happen and why, and allows you to kind of be okay with it or push through it or move with it rather than,
you know, double check, like maybe you didn't get the email.
Right.
And not take it that the universe is telling you like you shouldn't be doing this, you know, just understand where you are in the cycle. It would have been a lot more conducive in the 8 year. I probably would have learned it more easily. The terms would have made sense, because in an 8 year, we're geared to that. It is toward the end of a cycle, but we're so, you know, we're bulls in the 8 year. Like, nothing stops us. We're strong. We're quick. We're capable. Things flow a lot more easily, because it's the last active year of the cycle where everything comes together. But yeah, 9 is not so much.
But, you know, the more we know, that it allows us to pick and choose and develop things around that. And I think that's what's really important in considering another means of following your plan or your cycle or your goal setting or anything, is taking a peek into numerology and seeing what it brings for you.
Yeah,
personally.
It's, you know, it's handy. It's a handy tool. And it doesn't need to be complicated. Once you figure out where you are in your cycle, and, you know, then it just follows. The cycles are 9 years long, and it just follows like a wheel through your whole life. And it gives you that much of a step up in your planning. You know, if you're not going to want to be, if you have a big trip planned, but you really just feel like you need to work because you're in a 4 year, maybe it's not the time to take the trip, you know, like, so you take it in the 3 year, you take it in the 5 year, and you're going to enjoy it a whole lot more. You won't be feeling like, oh, you know, or secretly whipping out your work.
Right.
You know? And then at the end of it going, well, I didn't really enjoy it because I was working the whole time.
Right.
You know, so yeah, little things like that make all the difference. I was able to tell one woman that, you know, travel light, she was in a 5 year. I said, you know, this is when your bags can end up in the wrong airport. So travel light. So I don't think that she actually listened to me, because she wrote me a letter and said, well, you were right. My bag ended up at another airport.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But it was okay. She got them back. It was just, you know,
An inconvenience.
An inconvenience, yeah. And
Yeah.
but she was, in party mode, so it was okay.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I'm going to wrap this up because it's all good stuff here, and I want to make sure people know where to find you. And you've got, I know it's somewhere in all the stuff that that you wrote, but I'll let you share how to contact you, and I'll also have links on my website as well on cheriseboucher.com/the Inspire View Series 2017, and all Jessica's bio information and this video and links to her, how to access her gift and where to find her, all that stuff will be there. But please do share that here too.
Okay, I am at greatgoddessalive.com, and there is a contact us option there, and for whatever questions or to get your ebook, everything is available through going to the website, and I will personally deal with it, so I make sure that people get it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask, because I'm happy to answer them as well. So in one of these days, I'll be I may be too busy to get back to people quickly, but right now, this is winter. I'm holed down a little bit, so I'm a little bit more
personal touch, just the personal touch.
The personal touch, yes.
Well, thank you so much for being my first guest of 2017. Woo! I think you may have been my last or one of my last interviews in 2015 too. So it's kind of like you're an end and beginning.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, well, I was just going into my 9-year. We're just about ready to go into my 9-year. When we did our last interview, it was the tail end of the 8-year. I think it was October when we did it. And then, went through the 9-year in the boat, on the river, on the great ocean. And here I am.
You are in a personal year one and a universal year one. So you've got...
Yeah, this is why I'm not a good example, because, I'm always aligned with what's going on, the pulse of the public.
The pulse of the public. Well, excellent. Thank you so much once again for joining me. It's always a pleasure.
And it's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much, and congratulations. I'm so glad you're doing this.
Thank you.